Hey folks, hope you're all doing well and welcome to episode 28 of Recommend an Album to Review. Alright, so for this week I've got a band that I'd never heard of and an album I'd never heard of. For good reason. They only put out one record in 1976. So in 1976 I was 10. So I not familiar. But the album is by a band called Marcus, and the album is called Marcus. And the players in Marcus, you've got three guitar players here. You've got Jack Weber, Randall David, Gene Block, and most notably you have Tim Bogert playing the bass, and Tim Bogert of Cactus fame and Beck Bogert and A Piece. As a bass player, you've got Marcus Malone on vocals and a gentleman named Dandy Star Holmes on the drums. So from what information I've been able to dig up on these guys, they're Detroit based. I believe Marcus was part of the Detroit Wheels. I think I read that somewhere. So these are all real schooled guys, experienced guys, top level musicians, and you can hear it in the record. The playing is fantastic. The songs are really, some of them get really involved, and the arrangements are, pretty complex at times. There's a lot of jamming going on with the three guitar players. The musicianship and the playing, it's fantastic on this. It is hard rock. But I also hear, there's some nice harmonies in certain songs that I hear. There's a little bit of funk, maybe a touch of R&B here and there, and some of the jams and some of the bridges and changes that they go through. I hear a little bit of jazz influence here and there. It's almost like these guys are basically can do whatever they want, and they really stretch out on the songs. There's a few songs that are very straight ahead, sort of meat and potatoes rock songs, but for the most part they do a lot of experimenting, and they move in and out of different genres and styles and extended jams and so forth. So anyways, let's go through the tracks. So the album kicks off with Black Magic, which is one of the heavier songs on this. It's got kind of a slow, heavy chordal riff that kind of carries the whole song. For me, it's actually one of the better tunes on here. It's one of the more straightforward songs on here. Straight ahead, kind of real vintagey 70s kind of rock song. Kind of almost like it's kind of like a really BTO type of just heavy, grindy riff that kind of carries through it. With Marcus's singing, which can get really high, but good high, not bad. But it's one of the better songs on here and a pretty heavy opener. Then you got Salmon Ball, another heavier kind of a hard rock song. Pretty catchy riff. This one's got kind of a hooky kind of verse to it. But what really stands out for me on this track, I mean, there's three guitar players in this band, and there's a lot of solo breaks and a lot of, I don't know if these guys are trading licks. It's hard to tell, but there's a lot of really good extended solos on this. I mean, the guitar playing and the soloing, and it's that sort of 70s bluesy kind of stuff that I really dig. That's sort of the standout for this track. So not a bad track, Salmon Ball. Hey, then you got Kelly. Kelly is kind of a change up. It's a little more mellower song. It's got some keyboards on it, some real soulful singing. The vocal on this is probably the best vocal on this record. The guitar solo, though, I mean, it's sort of a ballady type song. Not really a ballad, but kind of in between. But this is like, this would be the radio hit, if there was a radio hit to be had from this record. The most commercial song on here for sure, but the solo on it is the highlights for me are the solo and a really, really good soulful vocal. So Kelly, not a bad track. Then you got Gypsy Fever. This has got a little bit of funk to it, and it's a rock riff, but it's a little funky. This one's not it's a pretty good track. It's catchy. There's some really nice parts to it. This is where they kind of stretch out a little bit. You kind of hear a little bit of some jazzy notes sort of sprinkled in, especially in the break, about 2/3 of the way in, and then again you get these extended solos and jams and whatever, which kind of really highlights the musicianship of the band. And again, these great arrangements that kind of keep you interested. But yeah, one of the better tracks for sure, Gypsy Fever. Then you got Pillow Stars. This one is an up tempo one. It's got some pretty kind of a little experimental type, weird type of opening, but then the riff comes in, and again, there's plenty of jamming going on. And this is there's some really nice vocal harmonies in one section of the song that are it's nice. It's the first time they kind of brought that in. And then of course the big extended jams and just I mean, these guys just go off, and then that's a pretty good one, pretty up tempo song. Pillow Star is pretty cool. High School Ladies, Street Corner Babies. This is kind of down and dirty, you know, just sort of really 70s hard rock tune with that riff. This is one of the more straightforward songs, kind of similar to the first one. The other ones take a lot of turns. This one is pretty straightforward. It's got a pretty cool riff. And yeah, this is one of the more straightforward songs. Not a bad track. Not a bad track. Then you got Dream Wheel. It's got a really nice drum intro, and it's got a riff that's just kind of I don't know, kind of odd. This is just this one just seems like an experiment to me. And this one really doesn't do a hell of a lot for me. Yeah, this is probably for me the weakest song on here, but real experimental, kind of hard to put your finger on it to describe it. Even it's just the main riff, and then and then it gets into a heavy chord, and then it goes into this riff again, this single line thing. I don't know, it's just an odd track, but there you go. There's Dream Wheel, and the closer, Rise Unto Falcon. Got a really long extended intro. I thought it was an instrumental because singing doesn't come in until about a couple minutes into it. But got a really nice guitar figure that opens it up, just like a single guitar, and then it just kind of builds and evolves from there. Again, some of the guitar work is great on this. The song itself doesn't do a hell of a lot for me, but guitar work is great. So, how would I summarize this record? If you're sort of you really like that sort of mid 70s kind of hard rock vibe, played by top notch musicians with some really good involved songs with arrangements and just exceptional playing and stuff. If you're nostalgic for that sort of thing, I would recommend this. For me, there's just not a lot to really grab me. I've listened to it a few times, and there's moments that are great, but there's not enough moments that this would be an album that I would go back and listen to again. I know it's highly regarded, in certain circles, but yeah, it's for me a kind of again and I totally appreciate the level of musicianship that's going on here, and if anything, that's the only thing that really grabs me is a level of musicianship, the complexity of the songs, some of the vocal harmonies or some harmonies that go on now and again that are really good. But the actual where it falls flat for me is just the songs themselves. There's just not enough, not enough to kind of, give me an earworm where I don't walk away humming something, or there's nothing really memorable about this. So that's kind of where it sits for me. So, on a scale of, up to 1 to 5, I can't, I'm going to give it a decent, I'll say I don't know, 3, and that's more for, just an appreciation, like I said, for the musicianship and the arrangements and the complexity of it, and just, as a fan of music, but as far as like, yeah, reaching to listen to this again, probably not, but that's where it sits for me as a 3. So yeah, so let me just quickly thank everybody for watching. First off, please hit the like and subscribe. And the way the show works is in the comments, suggest an album. I will check it out, and I usually post these every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, I'll pick something out of the list. Again, the criteria: single album, something I can digest in a week's time. So, thanks everybody for watching, and I will catch you next time. Cheers.